lineup will make a big difference for FM-eSports. But Xenex, in my opinion, if they lose, they have no excuse. They've been a 5 for so long now. They've got such good players up against what's arguably a mix. I think it'll be embarrassing if they end up losing.
Yeah, I can't agree more, but I've got to say, you know, FM aren't a bad side. They've had a good quality of players, as you pointed out. You know, I think his name is Falkiz on this. That's going to be Socken, or well, I'm going to call him is Soren,
yeah.
because that's his real name. It's horrible in my brain. It's all I can think of. But you know, he's been playing with the likes of Niels and Windansky for a hell of a long time. Weber's not a bad addition. These guys are a good team. They can achieve a hell of a lot here, and because I've known them so long, I feel guilty if I don't support them. So I have to be on the FM side. Otherwise, I think Yak will come down and possibly punch me. I'm not sure. But on the other hand, it's Xenex's game. It was quite surprising when we actually looked at the odds of what people were betting. They were actually in favor to FM quite drastically. I can imagine that might swing after the brilliant analysis coming off of the desk there. So once again, thanks to the boys like Machine, Henry G, and the one and only Hoss, who's never looked cheerful in his entire life.
No,
he's looking right now, it's like they're abusing us. He's not smiling yet, no. But we are just waiting on this one to start. You can see it right there. It's just a matter of time. The teams want to get comfortable. You know, the Xenex was a little late getting here. You know, they decided they wanted to take their time, you know, really enjoy the beauty of East London.
Like most people in UKCS.
So they finally got here. They've just warmed up pretty much, got themselves set up to a degree, and I think we're almost ready to go live. No, we're not ready yet. There we go. I was about to say, like, it doesn't look quite like the pistol round, but I do believe these will be the sides that we're starting on. So T side coming out for FM, Xenex on the CT side. If you're going to hazard a guess at a scoreline, what do you reckon on this one?
Well, the thing is, I've seen Xenex and FM play this map before. The last time around, he went in favor of FM. Obviously, they were still a normal team back then, and they were playing quite a lot, even on an international scale, playing against the likes of LVLC Blue and White in the RGN Cups. If I'm going to put a score on it right now, I'm probably going to say 16-12 in favor of Xenex. That's what I'd like to think.
Okay, so not a whitewash, but around a strong performance marker for Xenex.
I think FM, a big factor for them is going to be whether Weber can get in his stride. He's one of those players who, once he starts fragging nice and early, he builds that confidence nice and early.
Yeah.
That's when he'll sort of keep his head above the water and he'll stop sort of sighing a lot. He's known in the UK scene for once him and his team are playing bad, his head just drops. And he's such a quality player that when his head drops, he can't afford to let his head drop here on the main stage. He's got to keep his confidence because as an individual, his performance is going to be crucial if FM are going to win this map.
Well, I believe we are now live and ready for this one to start up. We'll be starting off, as said before, with FM on the T side and Xenex on the CT side. In theory, on paper, this should be Xenex's game, but FM always like to cause an upset. And let's see what they're bringing straight out into the first round. Why don't you take us away?
Here we go. FM taking tunnels control to start things off. Bomb going to lower tunnels as well. So what we could potentially see here is maybe FM try to get mid control. They've got Weber just outside long to prevent a flank because Xenex might decide to push it to get information on FM's whereabouts. But we could very well be seeing a mid to B here.
Mid to B, 100%, if Windansky actually uses the smoke, but he's not. They're actually slow walking, and there's a 3-man stack on the B side. So this could go really badly wrong here if they do make the play, and they are. No smokes to CT. They're going to just go straight into this. We've got Windansky going back through those tunnels, going to try and back himself in. Niels just kind of trying to locate himself through the smoke, but he does finally make it towards the side, but that's a quick cleanup for Xenex. 3 kills back to back. This 3-man stack has paid off perfectly.
Yeah, it did. Xenex, they decided, look, we'll give up mid-control and we'll play passive from the bomb site. They waited, they put a welcome mat on the bomb site, said, FM-eSports, come inside, and we'll take you on with the positional advantage. Not even one casualty yet for Xenex. And Weber, he's got a few flashes, he's got a smoke grenade, but let's be honest, he's a dead man for them right now. And there we go. 1-0 Xenex.
Certainly was. Pulse there just to close that one out. And it's quite nice seeing the 5-7 in play. Pulse, player that was highlighted actually on the desk, is one of those can have great individual performances. He's one of those players who can just rolling, and that's a perfect beginning. But looking into the sound now, we do have the SMGs coming out. Ral Snake, Cheeky picking those up with the also Blue Moles. So a lot of money to be made quite probably into this one. And looking at what it is up to, it's looking a little bit laggy. Hopefully that gets resolved. But yeah, T-side, what we're kind of not necessarily expecting, but it's become more commonplace. Hell of a lot of text, a lot of firepower against a lot of these. It's kind of a lot of a new meta coming out.
It is, and so powerful as well, and the Tech-9 cannons are going to burst out of shot here straight towards the A bomb site. They've hamstered in armor here, have FM-eSports as the flashes come in, but the CT still standing. The Molotov is slowing them down significantly. Pulse with the FAMAS so close to coming down, but Rattlesnake chimes in as well from Pulse. And, well, that was a pretty simple anti-eco in the end. We mentioned is Xenex. I don't think they play yet so far this game, so their money looking strong right now.
It definitely, FM really not quite getting the start they wanted. Just gonna hit the pause function. They want to make sure everything is working. I think maybe FM are a little uncomfortable. They're a little bit tilted very early on. I just don't want to have any technical issues holding them back. So they're going to take the time to make sure things are all working, it's well rounded. But we can kind of review what we've seen so far from Xenex, and it's kind of been a one-man show in a way. Also already having 6 kills by this round is highly impressive. Firstly, off on that B side with the 5-7, it worked incredibly well. But over back towards A, is this actually Xenex understanding what FM wants to do here to that sort of degree?
Well, for example, it's around FM on DDoS 2. A lot of people who've watched a lot of UKCS will know that FM is almost like every time they play DDoS 2, they head straight towards the B bomb site. So it could very well be Xenex looking to anti. One thing worth mentioning is that during the qualifiers, Xenex were very, something me and Hoss highlighted a lot. Xenex were very, very static on their C side, which meant that fm-eSports, when you consider quality of players they've got and the aimers, once they suss you out, they suss you out. And what we saw there was a display, was a positive thing from Xenex. Pulse went towards a B bomb site and then he was capable of changing it up and going towards the A bomb site. He kept his opponents guessing and they didn't expect him to be there. And throughout the game, especially on the CT side, this is exactly what Xenex are going to have to do. Keep their opponents guessing and don't make their setup obvious because FM-eSports have the quality to counter it.
Well, they certainly do. We're not really seeing that shining through thus far, but we can assure you they are very good players. You do not get to this sort of stage, to this sort of event, without working damn hard. They've had to fight their way here, FM, and I think they'll work into this. I think you are seeing the kind of very jilted start that can happen when you aren't that fully fledged team. Xenex can come in and feel comfortable quite quickly. They know what they're going to depend on, especially starting on the CT side. Because on the T side, you're just going to have to put, step in front of each other and just try and get there eventually. But hopefully we do have some sort of update soon as to what's going on there with the players. And hopefully everything's actually going to be working well for them. But all in all, what do you make of FM so far? Is it just pretty much what we expected?
Well, we've only seen 2 rounds, so it's really difficult to say whether it's what we expected. I think we'll have to ask ourselves that question after we've at least seen the first gun round, because as we know in Counter-Strike, you lose the pistol, you find yourself on downwards momentum, sort of the ball starts rolling. Xenex, if they win their gun round, they're going to be floating in the cash. Like, they're going to have banks and banks and banks of money, especially on this CT side. It's very easy in CSGO because of how much more expensive it is to continuously knock your opponents down when you keep the pressure on as terrorists, which is why we see terrorists very often force a buy, even with Galils, because they know a lot of the time they find themselves at a point where even if they force a buy with the Galils, if they can win that round, or not even just win that round, lose the round, but still deal a heck of a load of damage onto the CTs, that the Tech-9s will always stand a better chance than the P250s up against CTs who, for example, might not be able to afford a helmet or might not be able to afford that extra Molotov or smoke, which will make a difference defensively, or might be the difference between an M4 and a FAMAS. So we've just heard that TeamSpeak has been the issue and it will be resolved ASAP.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be UKCS without some delays. You know what I mean? It's like, let's be honest here. It was far too smooth. It was looking good. I walked in and I saw FM, just warming up on the PCs. I'm like, oh, that's good. It looks good. Yak in the background, just overwatching, staring intently at Windansky's head. And then on the other side, Xenex, nowhere to be found. I was like, well, it started how I expected. And I'm glad we're actually back underway. So I do believe everything is looking like it's resolved. They're going to give it a go. If any issues do occur again, I'm sure they'll just crack out the good old pause function and make sure it's working. Because it's so vital in this game. It's so important to make sure everything is absolutely fine. And we are back underway, which is always good to see. But this round isn't going to be much to write home about, I can imagine. The T-side has very little money. They really can't invest into anything. And, well, we've got a P250 and 2 flashes. So I can imagine this might be a very clean pickup for the CTs.
Yeah, FM, they failed to plant on the pistol, and they failed to plant on the second round as well. And again, if they can plant here, then it'll do their money a world of good. But it's going to be extremely difficult for them to do it. They've only got 2 flashbangs. They're going towards lower. You might see Neil Xeno try and pop flash his teammates into mid because they've sort of realized that Xenex are playing that B bomb site in the mid area very passively. But here, they've not got a smoke for CT spawn either. So Pulse is in a great position to deal a heck of a load of damage. And there he is.
Yeah, great little connection coming through now. Shiki, I believe, Mole can just mop up the remains. The wounded T-side just coming flooding in. Weber was last man standing and he gets swept off the map. Xenex keeping 3 rounds now, nice and cleanly back to back. They've done what we've kind of learned to be expected by now to a degree, even if you take in the tech lines to account. There was no turning early of the scoreline, and now the T-side have gone for quite the investment. Now, if you are on this T-side, this gun round means pretty much everything. Where are you going to hit? Because they've been really struggling pretty much in the first 3 rounds here.
Well, fm-eSports, I think one of their main priorities here, they need to try and sniff out whether Xenex have bought an AWP and whether that AWP is at mid. Because again, they've realized, well, they realized in the last 2 rounds how passively Xenex were playing that mid area, which is something that they could potentially try and abuse later on. So FM right now just taking it slow, they're splitting and picking as we call it, and they're trying to just get intel on where these CTs are hiding so that their in-game leader and weapon draw the picture of the CT setup in his head, and then based on the map control they get, try and decide on which bomb site of the 2 will be the best one to go towards.
Wow, 58 seconds remaining in this round. There's still a fair bit of time to work with it, and you can see them, they really do like to try and gain control of these double doors and work mid to the best of their ability. Not quite having much luck with it, until this round, but then again, this is the first gun round. This is where it can really start to matter. We do have the AWP in play with the legend himself, Rattlesnake, picking that up. If you remember him from yesteryears, this weapon is something you'll certainly have him accustomed to, but very slow play coming out from the T side here.
Yeah, could very well, I think we're seeing Weber go towards mid to B just to get intel. I think he may have spotted 2 CTs on B ramp, so that should instantly tell fm-eSports that it's only going to be 2 CTs on A. That's Rattlesnake falling to his death. That 1 frag by itself is not going to be a decent enough trade with that AWP. And what's lovely here from fm-eSports is they've got Neil Xeno on the flank, and if Neil can get the frag onto JT here, then he's going to be in a great position, rather, Neil Xeno, to hold this round off for fm-eSports. It's a short plan, and Neil Xeno's creeping behind him. He could do a heck of a load of damage here.
And he needs to. Oh my god, how the hell can you mess that up? He could have had at least 2 then and maybe saved this round, but that retake coming in from the CT side was extraordinarily good. They worked their way back in, they've got the defuse, and that's the first gun round going in favor to Xenex, and that was just nicely played. It was a shame, I feel, that Rattlesnake didn't make any more of that AWP watching the cross. He you could see the confidence trying to get up onto those cars, but the T-sides have a fairly easy shot if you're going to be going for that. So he's going to be reinvesting into it, and why not? And I'm kind of curious what he can bring, because the T-side have bought into this one. They're going to go for what they can, and they're putting a lot more attention towards long.
Yeah, they know they need to try and knock back this Xenex economy, because once Xenex start with their double AWP setup, sometimes we see it on Rattlesnake, sometimes we see it on Pulse. That's actually when they become at their most deadly. I think fm-eSports will be really disappointed with the last round because they planted for short. They had about 3 of them on short and still couldn't repel the CT retake. So let's see whether they can sort of unlock the CT door this time round.
Yeah, nice utility code out from Xenex, so they still have a lot of smokes and mollies and flashes. They can buy time and just hold them back in that sort of aspect. It's perfect right now for them. They've got a good idea where they are. They have, well, Rattlesnake in the right place, to a degree at least. And JT just kind of supporting him and short at the same time. So all in all right now, Xenex don't need to do much. They're in a fairly good, comfortable spot.
Yeah, it was good communication there as well between the 2 Xenex players. JT just throwing that flashbang towards A ramp is a pop flash for Rattlesnake to allow him to peek out and potentially get the pick. And Rattlesnake here is in a great position to deal a lot of damage with the so let's see whether he can do it. Windansky has broken on towards short, but the fire comes in. Rattlesnake with that AWP failing to get a return frag, and now fm-eSports just sort of brute forcing their way in towards this A-bomb site.
Yeah, you can't deny it when they do that sort of play, but the bomb is going down. I don't think JT could jump up and get anything towards that, but now Zoran and Mike's last 2 alive, make it just Zoran. He peeks out towards ramp. He does get down 1. There's 2 players pushing up. Oh, great follow-up shot now, 1v1. Zoran up against Mole. Flash comes in. Ollie to follow, and well played from Mole. Just clinically taking himself back into that, but that got very, very close.
It did, and one of the reasons why he got so close was because the Xenex players, they were pushing the terrorists on that bomb site one by one. They've got to move in as a unit. They've got to keep their communication on point. And I think one thing we might see here is Rattlesnake opt to go for an M4. No, he's gone for the AWP again.
Stubborn as hell. It's like,
exactly.
It's not worked 2 rounds, screw it, I'm going for a third.
I
because
think he's determined to roll back the years to his source days.
Well, he's looking like he's going towards the right place, and generally there was quite a lot of control from the CTs. He's got the flash there, peeks out, gets the shot. That's Windansky down, pulls it all back. He's still got Pulse there, but it looks like he's started breaking through. Mostly because of Soren. Again, this guy's doing well, but was that a worthy investment from Rattlesnake? Because he's just seeming to go down a hell of a lot here.
I mean, the thing is, what worries me is that there were 3 CTs there at long, and they should have been able to repel that T attack much better than they did. And finally, is this going to be the round where fm-eSports finally enter the scoreboard? It's Mole all by himself. He can't really do much here. He's just going to stay on short and sort of try and find an equilibrium between the 2 bomb sites. And it wouldn't surprise me if he does go for the retake, should the bomb get planted, or try to get a few exit frags, because the CTs still have quite a bit of bank to work with.
If he's picking up kills though 1 by 1 and there's no one to really threaten him, then we'll see how he can make this work. Although, T-side making the cross pretty comfortable, dropping out the flash, Nielsen's on the side. Looking like he's going to try and get a plant for long. Nice little smoke comes in though, Molly to follow. He might just be able to make something out of this. We do, however, have Mike's at long, waiting for this push-up. You can see him just in front, and Niels is battling with him, and Mole's broken through. Now Mike's is holding his nerve here. 1v1, he's just got to play the time.
He does. It is a long plant, fortunately, for Mike S, but I still feel that Nielsenio will be disappointed that Mike S didn't prevent Nielsenio losing his weapon. He was in a position where he could have just come up and tried to just lay down some bullets, try to help out. But I guess what's important for FM at this point, especially considering they were 5-0 down, is finally getting around on the board and building a bit of confidence up, because I think Critical said it once upon a time back in the day, EPS. He said Counter-Strike is all about confidence, and obviously Critical is now 10 or so years later playing for Infused.
It's certainly a vocal member of the UK community, let's say.
We all know what video it is.
I don't know what you mean. No, I never mentioned anything. But no, I'm a big fan of Chris, but he's a great guy. But looking at this T side, just trying to really see what they're going to be bringing through. The CTs is well set up. This time Rattlesnake bringing himself over towards B. A little bit of a switch for himself there. And last time we saw this sort of setup, it was a big lead, but I'm not sure if they're going to go for it again this time. We do have a hell of a lot of them lining up. Mike S starting to look. And actually, Windansky taking down Rattlesnake there, that should not have happened. No,
not at all. Fortunately for Xenex, though, they had 3 players on this B bomb site, so now there's 4 of them. They're just going to split their defense. 2 players on A, 2 players on B. But what worries me, or what would worry me, if FM-eSports headed towards long and isolated that man in pit, then it could be an easy opening onto the A bomb site. But of course, it's easier for us to see and analyze that than it is for them. And Shiki here is in a great position to deal a lot of damage. He can just wait for Mole to go down, but no! He could have waited for the FM players to come up. He didn't capitalize on that, and now Xenex are outnumbered.
They certainly are, and they're not in the position to particularly challenge either. Pulse and JT are pretty much cut off from this. The bomb is going down, and already the T-side are well set up. Yep, they've taken a little bit of damage, but I think JT and Pulse know that this round is just not going to happen for them, and credit where it's due. Windansky getting that little bit of an opening kill towards B. The follow-up that should never have happened, it's all worked very well for the T-side with a play that's nothing ingenious, it's just they actually landed their shots that time.
And now this is good for FM. They only lost 1 man. Finally, they can build a bit of bank. And as far as the money's concerned, we might actually see Xenex on their first eco. Obviously, Pulse and JT, that's why it's so important that they save these M4s. We could perhaps see one of them drop an M4 for a teammate to make the finances a little bit easier, maybe drop some pistols. But Xenex, they need to go for this. They need to invest heavily into this round. And if they can hold off FM-eSports, then happy days. But it's going to be very, very tough, because this is it. The momentum is building for FM-eSports. They're starting to get in their stride. The likes of Weber are starting to put their name on the scoreboard. So let's see whether Xenex tries to do anything differently given their current circumstances in this round.
They've certainly not started out very well. Weber already finding JT along. It's going to make it a lot harder work. Rattlesnake is there, though. He does have some sort of support, I guess. He's got Pulse with him, so it's not the end of the world, but not the best of beginnings. And they seem to be losing out that exchange along a hell of a lot here.
Yeah, it almost seems like it happens every other round kind of thing. And especially, again, there was 3 of them at long. They can't allow that to happen, even if fm-eSports throw the flash in. Expect it, Xenex. Flash them backwards. You could even try and smoke the long hut entry position from the boxes on short, or do it from car to try and prevent Weber being able to peek through and push the doors with that AWP to get the entry. But Xenex, still 4 of them here, and let's see how the rest of the round unfolds.
3-2 split thus far, but really not showing too much for FM. They've got 40 seconds to make this happen. It looks like they are going to try and make a play towards the A side. Rattlesnake nicely playing it long. So kind of working in his favor, allowing him to control those doors and taking down Windansky. He's going to really lighten the power coming from long and leave the 2 on short to do all the heavy work. Now Mole, backing off towards the site, using the smoke just the same. T-side look like they're adjusting around towards short as well. Here we go, Mole now peeks up, spots out Weber. Rattlesnake coming back to help him out, and this could be a great opportunity on the cross. There we go, lovely bit of crossfire comes into play, and Xenex seem to be able to keep hold of this round now. Mike S is the last guy alive. He's got the offer with 4 seconds remaining. He just wants to stay alive. Yeah,
exactly, and he'll get a frag as well, but the CTs are going to be quick to try and hunt him down, but I don't think they're going to manage to drop him. And that was actually some really, really good teamwork yet again on the A-bomb site between Xenex. I think it was between Rattlesnake and JT. JT, or I think it was Mole actually, he was on A ramp. He popped flash Rattlesnake out towards long after the exchanges happened, which then allowed Rattlesnake to clear it, and then he called that to his teammates. Great opening frag there from Mike S through the double doors. But that last round, it allowed Rattlesnake to clear long, and then we saw how Xenex rotated back round, and they knew their opponents were going to be heavily playing mid, and they knew where they were going to be coming from with their Zen They just think the living daylight out of them.
Certainly did. Now, round 9, 6-2 overall score. FM trailing a touch on the T side, but starting to get a little bit of momentum, just occasionally shining through, but still, at the moment, FM just taking their time. They've thrown together a shoddy-ish by Windansky, managing to pick up the gun of Soren in the end. Sadly, no armor to couple with it, but at the moment, it looks like once again this mid to play, B play is becoming quite dominant, and Mike S might be looking for this one. There is 2 players waiting on the other side there.
There is, and one of them is going to be Pulse. He's just strafing back and forth amongst these doors, but he's going to get tagged. So now that should, in theory, be an easy frag for fm-eSports, but they still have one more person here to deal with. Xenex, they need to have this B-bomb site under control. One person's watching tunnels, and Mole is going to be watching window. Both players watching each other's backs with the crossfire, and Pulse will hear the footsteps now. They'll be calling it. It is going to be a B rush.
Well, let's see if they can control it. Oh, Mole actually turned his eyes towards the tunnels, and the flood came in through the window. Now Mole has to take it over, but the crossfire was there, but they just stopped at the wrong second. And now Rattlesnake and JT are kind of in no man's land, not even near the site right now.
It almost seemed like we were praising the crossfire, and then they just undid it. Yeah, it was
curse, right?
Mole, I think he got scared when he heard the player in tunnels. It left Pulse outnumbered, and this is the B-bomb site on the other 2. It's so difficult to retake, but not if they can get that frag, but they won't be able to. Neil Zeno headshot onto JT. This is going to be the start of something special for Rattlesnake. Neil has gone down. The bomb is still ticking. Rattlesnake, with all his years in the game, is going to know that that last P is going to be in tunnels, and that showed us the importance of planting the bomb in a great open area like that. Sometimes rounds can be won and lost simply based on where you plant the bomb.
And I can imagine Weber was just enjoying knowing that. As soon as you hear the bomb at that time, you're like, well, I just need to wait a couple more seconds and I'm good. And knowing that it's Sam up against him, I'm sure there's a little bit of a grin between those 2. But still, in this one, CT side struggling for that cash. Really the best thing they've got to work with is the Eagle. It's actually coming back into fashion a little bit. I'm kind of surprised that it's starting to become a little bit more playable. But right now, this should be a very clean and simple round for FM. They have the guns, they have the money. They have every piece of utility they can work with, and really the CT side, not too bad to get a gun away.
No, if Pulse can pick up this AK-47 and just sort of salvage it towards short, towards the A-bomb site, then I think they'll be relatively pleased with how this round has gone. Rattlesnake and JT both low. There's no point really in them trying to save these weapons, so we can see how they're both sort of camping CT spawn here. They know the bomb's down in B, so chances are that the FM players, obviously when they don't want to get blown up by the bomb, they will come towards B round. They will be able to get an exit frag, but it could be very difficult now because Rattlesnake wandered off, and this was JT by himself on 31 HP.
T-side, pushing away from the bomb side. Don't want to go down to that one, obviously. And you can already see the Socken is starting to look around, try and find one of the opponents, but doesn't want to overstep. They know that Pulse may have the AK already in his hand, so not worth putting himself in trouble for. Windansky does find JT, and there we go. Pulse will be able to keep it at least into this round, which will be important. But looking at the scoreline, 6-4. I think let's say, I asked you this question earlier, you know, what do we make of the scoreline? What do we make of the two performances? What's standing out to you so far?
What's standing out to me is how well Rattlesnake redeemed himself, and I think Mole has had a really, really good game. He was obviously brought in, obviously they had Lumji, who they played most of the qualifiers with, and then they brought Mole in from UKCSGO eSports. But even, I think he filled this role quite well. But it's the same old story, where FM take the long control, they take the flag, and the question at hand now is, have they learned that it's only one player for this Team Xenex setup playing on the A bomb site? That's another player down, and the defense has been breached. It
has, and look at these guys. Xenex going to try and pull themselves together, try and find a way back into this, because they're going to have to play retake. The bomb's surely going to go down any second. 3 players now, all going to head up around short. However, one player sitting in those tunnels was Weber. He goes down. Now Pole's starting to break in with Shiki. Socken falls, and this is down to a 3v3. Suddenly, it's become a little bit more possible.
It has, but they've got to move in as a unit, peek together, communicate. They know where fm-eSports are going to be hiding now. Pulse on ramp, but Windansky with the doubles. Peekaboo, I see you, he says to the CTs. A hat trick for him. And that was just far too easy. It was quality AK-47 work. But then again, would we expect less from Windansky? Probably not.
No, he's a talented man. I hate to say it, and I'm sure he'll make me repeat saying that just so he knows I've had to admit it. He is a very talented player. It's good to see him finding some sort of form in this, keeping the game nice and close, but let's discuss this as this is, you know, pretty much just an eco. It shouldn't really go the other way, even though they've got some good control on long. What sort of ideal scoreline would you be wanting if you're FM here, realistically? If you could go, okay, what can we walk away with as a good scoreline on the
Obviously, DDoS 2 used to be a lot more T-sided back in 1.6 and Source. I'd say now in CSGO it's very, very even. If FM can walk away with 9-6 or 10-5, I think they'd be relatively pleased going into their CT half, particularly if they capitalise on the pistol. But still a lot of work for them to do at this point.
Oh, it's a long road ahead here. Still a best of 3 as well, that's the thing. This is just the first map. And never a fan of Dust 2 really these days. It always seems like the staple diet that people seem to fall back on sometimes. It's like...
It's the home of UKCSGO.
It is. It's like I've been to too many I-Series and Epic lands to ever look at Dust 2 and not have, you know, that little bit of a sinking feeling in my stomach sometimes. But we are seeing the T-side trying to make their way through. CT still just have those pistols, making this damage, but it should be dealt with well. Socken showing you how it's done there. Just picking up 2 very clean kills, not losing out on the weapon. And they've been able to actually keep the weapon out of the other CT's hands as well. Losing Windansky early, then there was that loose AK, but they kept it away, which is always quite impressive to see.
Yeah, but now they've just got to try and hunt down JT. Socken is very heavily tagged, so we could in fact see an exit frag from JT, but nah, they're not going to let him get it. Good stuff from FM. And, well, let's not forget, it was 5-0 up at one point for Xenex. And great character from FM to bring it back to 6-6.
It's really, really quite impressive, to be fair. It's not what I expected from a team that is a mix. You know, they're not a real big collective of players who play together all the time. They are very much individuals who occasionally played in the past. But this is quite aggressive from Mike S. Going to just try and get that little peek towards B just prior to the smoke being put down. However, doesn't get much out of it. And I'm pretty sure Shiki's going to be hearing this. He can surely hear those players in lower B tunnel. Kind of interested to see where these guys are off to. I haven't seen players going all the way back round to spawn, but I guess they may be looking to catch someone off the top mid or just make a safe route there.
Yeah, I think it's all about the safe route. I'm not sure whether they've realized that Xenex have only set up with a lone Ranger in the B bomb site by himself now, but FM know that it's going to be a big risk, particularly at this point in the half, for him to try and execute onto one of these 2 bomb sites without sufficient information on how their opponents are setting up. So that's why they went back towards mid. We're going to have Windansky, who's probably just going to try and hold the 2 CTs here at long, whilst his teammates perhaps try to execute mid to B or try to get short control.
Ooh, and Mike is finding Mole in mid is going to completely open them up the map. If only they could see what we see, because they'd be straight towards B with only 1 player there, completely no one to challenge. And it looks like they're still quite tentative. 30 seconds left, they haven't fully committed, and they seem to be gathering themselves through towards mid. It looks like this might be a mid to B. I think we're going to have to see some hero play from Shiki here, and the rest of the side trying to swear this out. Rattlesnake just spamming through the smoke, does actually get the kill, and now look at this. Shiki is in trouble. Niels will be dropped first. Looks for the ball, gets it. Great play from Shiki, buying time and keeping this round in feasible grasp here of the CT side.
Yeah, and only 10 seconds to go. Weber, he has to go for the plant. Meanwhile, his opponents in the CTs start to close in. Weber's very, very isolated here, but Mike S going aggressive in the tunnels. That could be a crucial frag for him. He has put the Molotov down onto the bomb, so if the CT tries to defuse it, they will get burnt alive. It's 2 versus 1. It's Rattlesnake versus Mike S now, and with the plant position, this is what we spoke about earlier. It should, in theory, be simple for Mike S. Has he been flashed? Is Rattlesnake going to get the defuse?
God.
He has got the defuse! The frag
S
comes in, but
how
he switched
hell?
to the Tech 9. He probably could have been able to get that frag with the AWP, you know, because he dodged the
100%.
flash. And he's just thrown the round away.
That is one way how you put yourself completely on tilt. Messing up something as simple as that is just not what you should be doing at this sort of caliber of play. Okay, I get it, there was a flash in place. You try to get the Tech 9 out. The draw time is a little long, you know. Okay, there's an issue there. But still, that is just not meant to happen. But look at this, Shiki again in a great spot here. They're trying to check it, they could be in trouble. He gets the 1-for-1 exchange, not too bad. The information is gathered, and already Xenex have 3 players essentially going straight towards B.
Yeah, FM made the assumption that most likely Shiku was going to be playing that B-bomb site again by himself, and they took, well and truly took advantage of it. And now this B-bomb site, again, so difficult for the CTs to retake. So many hiding spots for the Ts, but not when you wander off like that. Rattlesnake rotating in through lower tunnels. That's Neil Zeno, the Scotsman for fm-eSports down. And Weber now 1 versus 4. They're closing in on his position, and he'll get nailed in the head as well.
Great little retake there coming out from Xenex. If maybe Weber had landed that one shot when he had the opportunity, he could have maybe built something, but there were still 3 players.
It was tough.
Yeah, it would have to be the hero mode coming out from the one and only Weber, but not to be the case. But scoreline-wise, 8-6. This is still, I'd say, fairly close, if I'm completely honest. And actually, we're seeing, has Mole got a good score? Actually, Mole's picking up the AWP rather than Rattlesnake. To be fair to Rattlesnake, he's done substantially better. Now he's actually picked up the M4, funnily enough. But still, we are seeing play towards long. Windansky takes down JT, and you can see the switch up again coming to the old. Windansky just had that long spawn, wanted to utilize it, try and get the advantage along, and it worked. So Rattlesnake now having to pick up the pieces, challenge out the 2 players that are just waiting around these corners.
And Rattlesnake has no idea Windansky is behind the blue bin. That's 2 frags in quick succession for fm-eSports. This Xenex defense is being unlocked. The dink comes in from Windansky as well, but it's going to be Pulse to try and save the day at long. Mole, he's in a tough scenario here. He's got people from his left, people from his right, and he needs the reinforcements and he needs the backup of Xenex to come in. Yeah,
you can see him starting to pour in. Mole is going to be in trouble. He is a class AWPer, but this is going to be very hard. They are so close, and already Mike S taking him down is going to add insult to injury. Now Paul's surrounded on both fronts, kind of picking up where Mole left off, but trying to single out Weber there. It's a good bit of a glimpse, but just can't land the shot. And is he going to go through that close? 2 players waiting along. Windansky having a great round thus far, and now just Shiki in this. They know where he's been. They know what side he's playing, and Weber was waiting. 8-7 on the half. That's not too bad for FM.
No, I agree. If Xenex end up losing his pistol and FM win the first gun round, then the ball will start rolling for them. But let's wait and see what happens. Honestly, this second half, when it is 8-7 going into the second half, so much relies on the pistol round, because you win the pistol round, in theory you expect the team that win the pistol round to capitalize on the next 2 kind of thing. So this pistol round could be huge, and the next 2 rounds after that.
Look at this. Very unique boost. I think 2 players being boosted up on towards short. Look at the aggression from the CT side. Sokken's already pushed out towards mid. He's got himself a brilliant open with Mike S, then taking down Shiki. But look, the T side are already on B. They're already getting the bomb down. This is going to be tough for the CT side.
It is. It's almost like fm-eSports dedicate the B player towards mid to help the player who's pushing up, and it left the B bomb site completely empty. And now Xenex really in brilliant positions to try and repel the retake. They're going to remove that smoke towards lower tunnels, and again, the CTs are trying to fight in, but all you need is 2 Xenex players on the bomb site to hold them in, because you know where the CTs are going to be coming from. You just hold the angle and spray and pray your weapon, and fm-eSports, they fall.
This is not a great start. That will be completely awful for FM. Just losing on that first round when really the aggression they came out with was quite surprising. 2 players then pushing very aggressively towards mid. It wasn't, I think it was Mike S and Socken who both pushed up, and both of them, you know, picking up a kill in towards those low B towns, which was great, but then taking so much damage and being completely off spot towards B. They're going to have to make up for a hell of a lot of this. And look at the T side, they've got the 3 SMGs, 2 rifles, nothing great, it's only Galils, but still, they can do a hell of a lot of work. But the 2 players along, holding on to a bit of control and being able to back away alive.
Yeah, so it seems like the boost is going to come in towards the A bomb site. It's going to be Weber with his scout. And he's in a great position here to deal a heck of a load of damage. I think he may have dinked the player, but he takes a bullet to the face as well. And all it's going to take now is maybe just one chest shot with one of these Galils or SMGs for Weber to fall. And that will be the A bomb site more or less in the hands of Xenex. Here we go.
Completely and utterly, the rest of FM were looking elsewhere. They weren't even looking the right way. Okay, so we got Soren picking up one, taking down Rattlesnake, but the 3v3 retake is going to be difficult. 2 rifles in play now. Shiki, I believe, picking up the one that was on the floor in Pulse, and this is going to be extraordinarily tough. 5.7s and P250s to work with are not a great deal, but a great connection from Niels then, taking down Mole, pushing in aggressively, going to possibly get the drop then, but sadly now just Mike S alive, going to get down one, and will he expect Shiki up and close? He doesn't have a def kit, he can't really do this one. The time is of the essence. Mike trying to draw Shiki out, but I think Shiki knows what's up. He's not falling for it. Jumping little shot at the end to close it down, and Xenex do manage to pick up 2 rounds now in the second half.
Shiki deserves a pat on the back after that round, because a lot of players would have gone head over heels and sort of panicked after their teammate died in a 1v1 situation. I don't want to let him defuse the bomb, da-da-da-da-da. But he knew he didn't have to move until he heard the defuse come in. And he just ran down the clock, as he should. He played it by the book on the T side. And Xenex now, is it going to be all guns blazing towards B? It very well may be. And they've got this P90, which could completely slaughter Socken on the right-hand side. And it's going to be the AK to deal the damage. Good stuff from Xenex.
Yeah, just playing it pretty much as smooth as possible. It's quite funny, you'll see people actually reinvest even into SMGs these days in this round, just when they know the CT side has no armor. You can rip through it, you can make so much cash. It's incredible to watch. The likes of Team Dignitas do it over and over again now, and I love watching it, but this is just a shooting fish in the barrel this round. There's not much the CT side could have done, and really, I haven't seen much of a stand yet from FM. Now they're on the CT side, I want to see a little more. Dansky does manage to take down JT, but that's all he's going to get in this round. And now, FM have to bring forward a massive round here. It's the first buy coming in on the second half from them. They have to make the impact. And is that P90 really going to stay with Rattlesnake? Yes, it is.
Why not? Why not? If, for example, if he storms short up close with it, it could be very, very effective.
It has functionality.
Exactly. I think what's important now for Team Xenex is to try and make sure Weber doesn't get the AWP in his hands. The second Weber has his AWP and he starts controlling mid and alternating between the back of the B bomb site and mid and keeping his opponents guessing, he's such a quality player when you give him that free roll. So it's good now that Xenex, after winning the pistol, after capitalizing on the next 2 rounds, the money is incredibly tight for fm-eSports, and proof of that is the fact that 2 of them haven't really invested in helmets, which could make a difference up against a P19 Galil here. And we've got 2 FAMASs on show as well.
And already you're seeing the T-side getting a fair bit of control up short with absolutely no one to say a word about it. When Dansky does pop back up, drop up the smoke, give a little more utility over towards the A side, buy a little bit more time, but you are seeing the T players dropping the smoke down towards CT. Just going to knock that off. Maybe try and pull out a mid to B kind of fake almost, and let's see where they commit to. It looks like they're lining everything up towards A. I think it's almost time to go here.
There's the smoke that will cut off any potential players going from CT spawn. The smoke went down from double doors, CT spawn to fake the mid to B. But you know what? It was a fake. Xenex now stampeding straight towards this A bomb site. They are going to plant for short, so they're not even going to challenge Mike S. They're going to fall back now, play this as a unit, and it's going to be incredibly tough for the CT to get anywhere near this bomb unless Neilzinho has a say about it, but no, he gets traded. And now all the T's have to do is just fall back to short, play for time, play the plant position.
See what they can do with that. As you said, playing for sure, this is just so damn hard to actually work around. Mike, however, coming in with Dansky, making it look easy, and they do, I believe, have a kit, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they don't, but they should be able to get the defuse anyway, just about.
Oh, no,
wait,
no,
oh my god, that is gutting. That was down to the last second. And sadly, For FM, that is. Xenex get another round on the board, even though they couldn't quite hold it down on the A side.
I think Xenex could have made that a lot more difficult than it was for fm-eSports. For example, Shiki peeking Socken, who was coming up elevator on towards the ramp. He didn't have to peek him. And I think it was Mole who got caught near quad boxes because of how aggressive he was going, when he could have just stayed on short and played the trade with Shiki because of the plant position. But there was the pop flash. They're trying to get these entry frags, but Neil goes huge with the double at long. This is now finally going to push Team Xenex back. This is important for FM. They need to build this confidence. They need to get, again, I mentioned confidence in Weber before. They need to get him feeling happy, feeling in the game, just playing his game in order for him to be at his most effective. And when he is at his most effective, most of the time that is when FM are at their best because he's such an important player for them.
It's a big factor, as you said. Close now, doesn't Pulse can achieve much, and he won't win. Dansky cleans it up, and the game is back on. Xenex just getting absolutely destroyed at long then. It's something you can't always depend on doing when you pick up, a good 2 kills just back to back, but it happens. These guys are of such a top caliber, they can pull this off. But still, look at the T side now, not a great deal of money to work with. They're going to sit there and buy up the pistols and look to maybe achieve something along those lines. But you can see a nice little setup coming out from FM, even though considering they are a mix, the basics are still in play. You can see the utility work they come out with is still pretty much on point. They know what they're doing. And now I want to see how Xenex just intend to really take this round forward. They've got, a good minute and a bit to try and maybe get the bomb plant in. And it looks as though they are looking towards A. Nice flash from Windansky again, but is that all they're going to achieve here? Just try and get the bomb down, do you think?
That should be their primary aim, really, because if they lose a round, they'll get $800 each, and that would be huge for them, particularly on an eco round. But Windansky's blind. Windansky gets fragged by Pulse, and now so close to winning the cluster of Mike S, but no, they dropped off short. They're heading towards B ramp. Socket is going to run out of ammo, and it's all kicking off here on the B bomb site. He's outnumbered. He's hanging onto a thread with 18 points of health. That's a great frag from him. And now at 2 versus 1, if Neil can just isolate this player in Rattlesnake on short, get that frag, he'll find himself in a 1 versus 1, and this could be winnable.
He's completely
he knows
ignoring
Rattlesnake just has a P250.
Oh, that's almost so smart. Niels, check your corners though. Just about losing out to Pulse. And credit to the T side. They had so little to begin with in that round, and they turned that into something phenomenal. Being just able to adapt on the fly as soon as they took down Windansky, just waiting by CT. It was the flood off the back of it. And before FM even knew it, they were playing on the B side. It was just instant. And now looking at the CT side, they're forcing into this with everything they can, but there's not a great deal to be looking at. 3 players stacking out long, and actually T side going to respect that and back away a little.
Yeah, they know what happened the last time. It's like pop flash themselves into long. And even though they know their opponents playing with only pistols, I'm pretty sure Xenex will be more than aware that FM may very well have forced this up with armor given the current scoreline, and that's exactly what they've done. So let's see whether FM can repeat what Xenex did in the last round with only pistols.
It's certainly something we're seeing consistently done in CSGO, that you can make a big impact with pistols. It's happening more and more and more. Good thing or a bad thing, it's going to happen. And we are seeing the T-side line themselves up, looking like it's a good push through mid. They're just slowly edging their way in. Now the 2 players on B might be in for a bit of a shock here. Weber is going to be the first to peek. Looks out with the scout, does catch a glimpse of Shiki. Shiki gets tagged up, but now the flood comes in, and they've just cleaned house instantly. The 3 players who are left alive are so far out from the bomb. It's down, they're set up, and they have every single player standing.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if all the CTs just tried to save here, because even though Windansky and Ilzinho only bought 5.7s, they still invested into the armor, and Mike S still with that FAMAS. So, in all honesty, if it was up to me, I probably wouldn't have forced. I probably would have given Xenex a 14 rounds, and I would have liked, for example, to give Weber that AWP at mid, because he's been buying up the scout to try and see whether he can work any jumping scout magic, but he just hasn't had much luck with it. And we just saw the Xenex train of AK-47 stampede towards mid, and even with the scout, even with the FM pistol armor buy, it's just not enough to repel so many AKs coming at you.
Niels did manage to at least deny 2 players getting out with AKs there, which is quite surprising. But it doesn't affect the overall scoreline. And right now we're on 14-8, so they're getting very close to that map point here. Not match, we still have a good couple of maps coming up. It could go all the way to Cobble if Inferno goes in favor to FM, for example, if Xenex win this. So there's a lot of action yet to be seen, and this looks like another very heavy investment coming out for the CT side. And right now it might be a rather decisive 15th round coming in for Xenex if they make the same sort of impact play we've been seeing them do constantly here. And B just looks so vulnerable right now.
Well, they all look vulnerable.
Yeah.
You look at the firepower they've got. Technically, this time around that they did in the last round, because we've got both Windansky and Weber with no armor. Weber here is just trying to abuse this jumping scout, hope that he can get a frag, but I just can't see this ending well for FM. I feel like they'd have just been better off ecoing in the last round and then buying up properly this time round, rather than going for these two sort of really awkward buy situations.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a little bit of pressure through mid. They were starting with those B towers. Now maybe looking a little towards short. Side are getting a lot of control, but around the back, Luku's coming, knocking it. Niels, he does get down one. That could spur on a little bit more of the play. You can see the CT side starting to push up a little. Windansky hears the pitter-patter of tiny feet, and he delivers. Rattlesnake goes down. And the people with the bomb are now kind of on their own and going in towards Mike S, who did have the gun. Sadly can't put it quite to use, and it's starting to fall apart for the CT side.
Yeah, great positioning from JT. Knew that the CTs would have to rotate through mid, and here we go. It's 2 versus 2. Can FM salvage something from this round? We've got both Cheeky and Pulse have gone very aggressive towards short. It is a short plant, so again, in theory, I really can't see how Xenex will lose this one. But we know Weber, we know how much of a quality player he is. If he can work a bit of his Weber magic, it may have happened, but unfortunately, I think Sokken's going to be a dead man in a few seconds' time.
Yeah, he's trying to bite out. He had to have landed that shot. He will get it for the second time of asking, but surely cannot pull this off anymore. Time is of the essence. He does go down. Xenex put themselves in a great position now going forward with 15 rounds on that board. They need one more to collect map 1 into their pockets. And look at the T side. They've got money for days as well. They're just buying it up, dropping out the AKs, just spreading around the love, and they are absolutely golden here. Complete disparity to what's going on the CT side. They have so little funds. They have so little to work with. We're down to CZs. We actually have at least some M4s. And let's see if they can put it to work. Pulse just straight up aggressive. Doesn't check for Mike. And Mike S just comes out on top there.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of complacency kicking in from Xenex. They can't afford to let it kick in up against fm-eSports, and now they are a man down. Fortunately for them, though, even though they gave away that AK-47, FM is still very low on firepower. So now they're going to try and take it slow, take mid-control as they've always done, try and figure out how FM are setting up, and then try to abuse it. But they've got Weber on this scout, and I think he's bought the scout 3 rounds in a row now, and I don't really think he's been effective with it, to be honest. They've got no choice this round.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually got a kill with it. I can't recall him getting a kill, if I'm honest. Maybe I've missed one. I could be completely wrong, but we are going to see the round actually starting to pour out, and the T side heading in towards the side, but in Goose, Niels lays, and wait, he does get one down. Sadly can't follow up, but Windansky is there. The backup, the cavalry has arrived, and maybe they can piece this together, but Mole says no, already picking up 2, could not claim the 3rd, and maybe that slight touch of complacency that you mentioned, with just one player not checking corners, just getting that a little too confident, just gave FM a chance here.
Yeah, because let's assume almost, let's say Pulse had actually been the player to get the frag at long, he would have been able to sit in pit, and then he'd have been able to flank the A-bomb site from long as well. And it's so important that when you try to take over a bomb site, you hit it from so many different avenues as well. When you go towards A, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket from short. It's very easy for the CTs just to stick a defensive smoke down or a Molotov down and just basically hold you off. And now this round here for fm-eSports, it's a great opportunity for them to build some bank. They can't afford to lose any more rounds, but if they play this passive, they don't feed Rattlesnake with this AWP, I can see it definitely going well for them.
Well, it's probably going to be Windansky, I can imagine, who gets the drop. Here we go, Rattlesnake edges forward, and Windansky takes him down. Mistakes like that should not be happening for a player of the caliber of Rattlesnake, but just not making the impact. They do at least retrieve the AWP, so that's still in play. They can work with it, but now 50 seconds, and the game plan is certainly known. Windansky is not happy with just that. He wants a little more, and why not? He's just showing us how the famous work is done. JT trying to give Pulse a little bit more freedom here, a little bit more backup. And he's starting to look out. Perfect pop flash comes in straight out from the B side. He gets 1, he gets 2. Windansky is just locking them down in mid at the moment. And credit to Socken then just to provide him that flash, give him that peek in towards mid. And now they have pretty much everything at their disposal.
And that is the thing about Counter-Strike, you know, it's the little things that make a big difference like that. Just a simple bit of communication, a simple pop flash will allow you to get a simple fight like that.
And a simple ace, I guess, for Windansky.
Yeah, fair play to him. I think I think it was good that Pulse tried to recycle the AWP, and it was quite clear that they wanted to head towards the B-bomb site because they left the person in tunnels, because when they were just hoping they could potentially get a frag onto one of the two B players, and then push the final player on the B-bomb site by himself, push him one from tunnels and the rest from B ramp and try and sort of isolate him, but they just didn't have enough firepower to compete against Windansky's FAMAS.
This looks like a really quick round coming out for the T side. They are going straight up short here. Do you think this might work out, switching up the pace?
Well, I don't see why not. They've still got a lot of rounds to work with, those Xenex, so even if this round doesn't go in their favor, I don't think the heads are going to drop just yet. They know how close they are to winning this first map in this best of 3. But this position here from Mike S, very similar to what we saw from Rattlesnake last time round. He's actually stood on top of the card just in case Xenex do throw smokes from short, which they can do, which we see a lot of terrorists do when they anticipate their opponents to be playing that kind of position.
Wow, they're really switching this up, and T-side slowly walking their way around Niels. If only he knew how close he was just to seeing him through that smoke. But this could be a great opportunity here. If they don't expect him this close, if they get complacent, this could be another round. And look at this, he's still got the molly as well. This could work out quite comfortably if Niels can make this one stick.
This is one of the issues when you play so slow, sort of like the Navi style, that CT can put the smokes and Molotov down and hold players off. It's going to be a double from Mike S. Gets headshot by Shiki, flanking off short. Of course, we saw Xenex at the start of the round. They got the mid control, they left the man on short, and that's when they went back towards them to surround the players on that A bomb site. But some phenomenal open from Mike S. Manages to terminate the incoming push. And fm-eSports now, again, it should be 15-12 realistically after this point. Xenex only got pistols to work with, but then again, a few rounds ago, we still saw them win an eco round, so you can never rule them out.
Yeah, for sure. Players of this sort of skill, this caliber, this ability, can always, you know, pull out that little bit of magic. Whatever it is that they do, they can kind of make something happen. But we're going to have to wait and see it, because for me now, FM have the opportunity to turn this one. They can actually get themselves in this game here. Because you can imagine now on the other side, they're going to start getting a little frustrated. They're going to start having maybe not, you know, the best comms in the world. You know, you can get that slight drop, that 10% drop. And sometimes it only takes that 10% to make the difference. So we're going to see if FM can build themselves into this. And already Shiki trying to toy with Mike S, get him to make that shot, then they can push off the back of it. And just keeping his attention firmly drilled on short here.
Yeah, like you said, they're trying to force the shot out so they can catch Mike S when he has to QQ his AWP. But here's Xenex, they've only got Glocks up against these CTs who are pretty highly packed on armor. It's going to be a lot easier said than done, but here we go. Has Shiki finally given in? He's still going for it. But we do have all the T's here on short, so they are finally going to give up. But no, they're going to drop straight down CT4. Shiki in a great position, capitalizing with the P250. Windansky, the kill gets traded, and Mike S now all by himself at long. He could easily get taken down here with the pistols. He's not in a great position. If I was Mike S here, I'd wait for my teammates, for the reinforcements to come in and help out. A few people from CT spawn, a few people from short. These T's only have pistols, and finally the firepower is coming into work.
Yeah, it took its sweet damn time though. Let's have a little look at what's going on here. Pulse around the back, nicely working out. Going to put the pressure towards Socken there. Actually takes him down in CT, and now JT and Pulse, the last two standing in this. The defuse is coming in, it's on short. Niels.
Oh my God!
How on earth did JT just manage that? But credit to Xenex in the end, closing it down. We said, players like this sort of caliber, they can turn it on a dime even with just pistols. And they just closed that one down, just right under the noses of FM.
Again, another great example. We saw quite a few of them this game, and why it's so important to plan in those open situations like that. There's a lot of scenarios where maybe the teams who aren't on the same level as these guys, they get on the bomb site, they rush the plant. They plant, for example, behind a box, something like that. And then when it comes to the nitty-gritty of things like the crucial 2 versus 2 situations there, when they try to prevent the defuse coming in, they just simply can't see the bomb. They can't do anything like that. And then just the jumping P250 from JT is absolutely phenomenal. And it really does add insult to injury, the fact that they just won that map on the eco round.
Yep. And we will be going into map number 2 very soon. Coming up will be Inferno, so that's going to be absolutely amazing. And just before we go to a very short break, what are your thoughts on Inferno? Who do you think's got the edge here?
Well, the last time I saw these guys, I know that FM are a very, very strong Inferno team. I think the last I-Series they played against existence, who are obviously the best team in Spain, and they had an extremely solid CT side against them. But again, we've already discussed that FM more of a mix here this time round, and like we said before, in the past we've seen fm-eSports pretty much demolish the Xenex side on DDoS 2. So honestly, in UKCS, with the current state of the two teams, it's very difficult to call. But I'm going to say FM will win Inferno, and then we're going to go to Cobblestone for a third map.
Well, for you guys at home, we hope it goes to the third map, because this is going to be a very good series. So guys, do stay tuned. We'll be back in 5 minutes.